Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back. Let me see who popped in here before we started the stream. Demoris Beats, I see that you've flagged an issue. It would be definitely a good opportunity to reach out to our support team for that, but I will send the message along. OT Mills, did the music scare you when it started? Tiger Backwoods, what's up? Grandtastic Beats, DP Is You With Me, Flip Workin, Tristan, LOL, Tristan Wall. Cloud9, what's up? Rock 5. Awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Deal. Let me get into some announcements. First of all, we've got a special placement opportunity. So 98 Chamberlain is looking for soul influence beats, Manny Fresh type beats, and New York drill beats. So that's a lot of different energies, a little bit of something for everybody to be able to submit. So all keys and BPMs are welcome. Submissions end on October 27th. For more information, you can go to beatstars.world/special-opportunities/98 Chamberlain. It's a lot. So hopefully you guys can copy and paste that URL there. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, welcome back to the deal. I'm Tia, and I'm the Music Opportunities Manager here at BeatStars. If you're new to the deal, we are highlighting our BeatStars Publishing roster. So BeatStars Publishing is a partnership between BeatStars and Sony Music Publishing. We're the #1 global music publisher in the world. If you're interested in finding out more, including how you can sign up for BeatStars Publishing, you can head over to beatstars.com/publishing. And don't forget to follow at BeatStars Publishing for some free industry game and to get better acquainted with the talented producers on our roster. This week, we are hanging out with Gavin Hadley, but if you want to rewatch this interview, you can check it out later alongside all of our past shows and BeatStars content, including tutorials on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/officialbeatstars. And don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified of new uploads. Some of you may have met Gavin before. We did a little producer panel, and Gavin was involved, but today he's on his own, so let's bring him in.
Hello.
There he is. Hello. How are you, Gavin?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It feels like I've been having this feeling in my spirit where it's like I'm losing days, I'm losing time. It doesn't feel like a Tuesday, you know what I mean? But it is. So we're here. All right, let's get into it. I would love for you to just give yourself an introduction, who you are, where you're from, and maybe your first memory of music. Maybe not working in music, but your first memory of it.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Gavin Hadley. I'm a 19-year-old producer from Neenah, Wisconsin. And my first memory of music, I think, comes from my mom. When I was younger, she would listen to like all sorts of popular songs that were just like on the radio and stuff because she's younger. So like basically what she was listening to, I was listening to always growing up. And like Plain White Tees, Hey There Delilah, that song is always just
Banger.
It still holds up to today.
Yeah.
That's like the first song I really remember. I remember just listening to that for years. I felt like timeless.
Absolutely timeless, and that literally had a chokehold on our generation for sure. So and generations to come. So how did you decide that you were just gonna, I'm assuming Gavin Hadley is your birth name?
Yep.
So what made you decide to stick to using your birth name other than an alias?
So originally I did have an alias. I went by Fade from like 2 years ago ish, and then I think I went by like GH Beats to my initials. That was like the very first one, but I decided to go with my birth name just because it's unique to me, obviously, and it's just a name that I really like, and it's just me. It shows who I am, and yeah, that's really all there is to it. And
it's gonna grow with you.
Exactly.
That's basically it. How did you start producing? Because like you said, you're 19, and we'll get into some of your successes later, but you've had quite a large amount of success, especially considering your age, and not to limit you to your age, but I think it's impressive. So how did you start?
It all started, I think, a little bit before my freshman year of high school. I was walking home at night from like a pool party thing, and one of my friends started freestyling, and this is like not something we would ever do, but it just kind of happened, and I just started thinking about beats from there because we were like on YouTube just looking up random ones, and then I looked up beat making software. I found FL Studio, which is the one that I use today, but I also found a few other ones, and I used those for a while. They were just kind of like more like just had like a bunch of different loops and stuff to compile together. It wasn't like making anything from scratch. It was a lot easier at the time, which was appealing. So that's why I used those ones for a little bit. But that's really how it all started. And then I had it on my computer for so long, and then I would kind of come back to it every once in a while until about the time where Juice WRLD really started to get popular. And then I started learning about his producers, Nick Mira and DT, and then I started watching tutorials and then really starting to dive into it and actually learning how to make stuff from scratch.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's similar to a lot of folks' origin stories. It's like you kind of just stumbled across it. It just kind of happened. But you've even taken upon yourself I guess through your own learning process to kind of give others the opportunity to learn as well.
Mhm.
I know you built a YouTube channel. So what inspired you to do that?
So I've been making YouTube videos all of my life. Before I started making music, I was like a gamer. I would post videos of me just playing games and stuff. So I always had that like just like knack for creating and just like editing, except I don't really enjoy editing too much anymore.
No
But
one
I
does.
I, I, I know how to do it, that sort of thing. And so like making videos was kind of second nature to me already. And I've always liked helping people. And now I'm transitioning my channel. You'll see if you go to it, it's pretty dormant right now, but it's gonna come back at some point, and it's gonna be like a different sort of. It's not gonna be too much tutorial based anymore. It's gonna be more of like an inspiration, like story sort of thing going
Mhm.
on now. I don't want to give too much away, but
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your YouTube in the vein of it being dormant. I know the very last video you uploaded was in August. And
uh,
you're kind of just going over, I guess, up until that point, you had been MIA on the channel for a
yes,
little bit of time. And the opening of the video is basically you explaining that you kind of lost the inspiration to
yeah.
create the videos. And I don't know how that spilled into your music making as well, but do you want to talk about that and maybe what what was the reason, or why do you feel like you lost interest, and what is making you now want to pivot?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So I feel like a lot of people in music or whatever creative endeavor it is, like there comes times where you get in ruts and then you do the same thing over and over each day. And for
Mhm,
me, it was making those videos and the tedious process of editing, posting, and all of that really just got to the point where I lost a love for it because I didn't feel like I was doing anything different anymore. And for me, I always like to push the boundaries and I like to do things that are different.
mhm,
And the last few months have been kind of a struggle to find that something that's different that I really feel fulfilled from making because I'm like a big I like fulfillment. And just to keep it simple, the YouTube videos they weren't giving me that sense of fulfillment anymore. Music and loop making, melody making always has. So that's something that I've never really let up with. Um, but at the end of the day, it's so much easier to just focus on making just melodies because that's really what I love. And it's like an entire different ball game to try to incorporate melody making in tutorials and stuff when you're doing that. It's so hard to balance. So that's why with my channel now, it's going to be a little bit less music focused and like tutorial focused and more of just the life of me and
mhm.
what I'm doing because I feel like that's really valuable for people to see, more so than music because you can only really learn so much from a tutorial. You can try to tell people what to do, but at the end of the day, it's like it's really all about your ear, and no amount of like secret sauce that you say is going to help with someone else's ear. It just all takes time and then that person to find it for themselves, really.
I love that you said that, and I love that you're talking so much about fulfillment and finding the things that fulfill you. And again, not I'm probably going to lean into your age a lot in this conversation, and
Mhm.
again, not to box you in based on your age, but it's something that I'm really excited that you're figuring out so early, because a lot of the conversations we have, people are experiencing burnout from the work that they're doing. You lose inspiration, you don't know how to get yourself organized. So I think it's really important that in what you're doing, you're searching for the root of it. And the other piece of that for me is, like, I know for myself, when I was trying to get into the music industry, and I say this a million times in these interviews, but one of the main things that really helped me learn was interviews of other people talking, or vlogs, or whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, because the business stuff can be taught. There's
Yeah,
a million videos out there that is going to teach somebody how to, make a beat, or how to play a guitar, or whatever the case is. But what you're missing in this experience of learning is the lived experience. And
exactly.
that can come of the process, or the things that people get to do because they're good at XYZ. So I'm really excited for you to be able to make that pivot.
Thanks.
I guess my next question then is, how did you come across BeatStars? What made you want to get started using that platform?
So a few years ago, when I started getting into making beats consistently, I found out that you could make money from selling them. So I experimented with a couple of different websites and really, BeatStars is the one that I ended up sticking with just because of how user friendly it is, and like the collaborator feature for me, because I don't really make too many beats on my own.
Mhm.
Um, Collaborator feature is so nice because anyone that just uses my loops can go in there and add me as a collaborator, and then boom, I have a beat on there as well that I'm making 50-25% off of as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like you said, just being, somebody who does loops and melodies and things like that, it it helps you to, also expand your reach because you kind of get marketed through other people's pages
Exactly.
in that way.
That's the big thing for me, because if you look at my BeatStars account, like it's pretty dormant, too much like the YouTube channel, but I'm still always like getting myself out there through other people's accounts.
Mhm. Okay, I don't know where I want to go with this. I think we'll stay on the topic.
Okay.
How are you getting yourself out there? What does working with other producers collaboratively look like for you?
For me, at this point, I've really been focusing on myself and just pushing myself in terms of my sound. I'm trying to like sort of switch my sound and again do something that makes me a little bit happier, because that's just going to show in my work
Yeah.
um, so much. But really, at this point, I make my melodies each week, and I have a list that I've slowly built up throughout the last around almost a year or so, and I
Mhm.
send those melodies out. And then I listen to almost every single beat that people put out there,
Mhm.
and if I really like the drums that they did or how they like flip the melody or whatever, I'll let them know. I'll talk to them about it. And also I've been so fortunate, or I've was just extremely lucky to have came up in a time like last year ish with a bunch of other producers that are doing amazing things, and I built friendships up with them.
Mm.
So it's super nice to be able to have them by my side through all of this.
Absolutely. It's a really beautiful way to build community. It's kind of like a cheat code almost. I
Mhm.
don't want to say it's a cheat code because it obviously still requires a lot of work and effort, but I think that you're in a very interesting position. So now I guess talking about the music, I know you shared with me at least that you're transitioning into the pop indie scene. So maybe
Mhm.
let's talk about the kind of music you were making um, versus the kind of music you're looking to make now.
Yeah, so I would say that I've always kind of been in like a little I've been in the rap scene obviously, but it was more of like the melodic rap scene
Mhm.
with guitars and pianos and whatnot. But I feel boxed in a way as a loop maker, because loops, you only have a certain amount of things that you can do in them, like layout wise and stuff. And I really want to get into songwriting and like full song creation so I can get
Mm.
all of that creative freedom. And I don't feel like I just have to make a loop, which normally most producers use and like follow a pretty specific, consistent formula. Like they put drums on it, normally pretty similar drums depending on the BPM and overall mood of the loop. But I just want to get into pop music and alternative and stuff, because I feel like there's just so much more for me to do in that area, and I
Mm.
can just really express my creativity a lot more.
Yeah, I think because you're a self-taught guitarist.
Yeah.
So I think the benefit for you is that all of these genres are always going to want somebody
Mhm.
who can play a guitar or do a guitar loop or something like that. I think a lot of rap music today is very guitar is a very prominent instrument next to like a flute. And obviously pop or indie music is going to need a guitar. So I
Mhm.
think that you're opening up your reach
Yeah.
and it's gonna benefit. It's gonna pay off for sure. Um, so you've recently finished high school, like
Yeah.
you're fresh out of high school.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering what it's like to know that you were already running in my mind, what would look like multiple businesses just based off of having a BeatStars, working with artists, running your YouTube channel. You are this successful business person
Mhm.
who is still confined to like first period math sometimes or whatever it was you were taking. What
Yeah.
was it like being at school and knowing that like you already had this whole entire life waiting for you on the other side of it, or that you were ingrained in it already, while other people are preparing to figure out what that looks like? What advantages do you
It
have?
it was always difficult for me, because when people, because I'm not going to college, obviously, and a lot of people in my area at least
Mhm.
saw what I was doing as like not very good of a plan, I guess, and for a variety of reasons. But like a lot of people and a lot of traditional parents and teachers and stuff see college as just the next step, which is totally fair depending on the career choice that you want to go. Like if you want to be a doctor, or if you want to be a dentist or any of that stuff, you need to go to college to do that. But as a musician, you don't necessarily need to do that because there are so many opportunities, especially nowadays with everything shifting. Like there are so many careers that require less and less of a college experience to get into now.
Absolutely.
So it's been definitely a process to try to get people to see that. And that's like also a big thing that I want to push. I want to really sort of get it out there that like music and like this type of music production is like so accessible for anyone nowadays, and it's a lot easier. I'm not going to say easier to get into the music industry, but we have so many more tools online to do it. And that this goes for like just online careers in general, like music and gaming and whatever it may be. There's just it's such a more realistic option for high schoolers to pursue nowadays, which isn't really it's a little bit more recognized in other areas, but for where I'm from, not as much.
Yeah, and I think it's always interesting when you're like the one person that's an outlier, but you have proof of concept, like you have already been doing it, you have already seen a certain level of success from it. So I think it's an interesting conversation when it comes into play, especially being in high school when it's mandated or it's somebody's job to tell you to move into post-secondary or whatever the
Yeah.
case is. I know for myself, there has not been a single solitary moment of my entire career where anybody asked me about my diploma or my
Hmm.
or for a degree or any of those things. I mean, it's always listed in a job description, but very seldom is it something that is the deciding factor on whether or not somebody can get a job. So I think it's it's dependent on the person and what they're comfortable with, but obviously you had already taught yourself so many things
Yeah.
to afford you this springboard. So it's pretty dope.
Thank you.
You sign with BeatStars Publishing while you're in school still?
I forget exactly when I signed. I think I was about to like just about done. If not, it might have signed like right after I finished.
Mhm. So when you're signing your deal or whatever the case is, and you've been listening to all of these people say, "Oh, you should go to school," or maybe someone's looking at you sideways,
Mhm.
what are the conversations that you're having? What did you say to them to make them understand or try to make them understand that this was what you were going to do or what your decision was?
Honestly, it's so hard around here to explain it to other people.
Mm.
I feel like still today, I'm still working on doing that. I feel like there's so many people that when they hear the word beats or something, they think of like 19 like old school like techno and all of that
Yeah,
stuff
dance
too.
music.
And
Yeah.
like the fact that I say that I'm self-taught, and like I taught everything on my own and I don't know how to read sheet music and like that kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's really hard to explain to people around here. So that's still something that I'm working on, but really I feel like something that helped me a lot was Pineapple becoming a big song and people hearing that for themselves on the radio and kind of understanding the sound that I create, like what it is.
Mhm.
And it's not techno, it's guitars,
Pop
it's
song.
melodic,
Yeah.
it's music,
Mhm.
and I feel like it's very important that to just push the fact that you don't have to go to college around here to make music, and anyone honestly is capable of
Mhm.
doing whatever they set their mind to. And for me, I decided from a very early on in high school that I wanted to learn how to do this. And sure, I was terrible for a while. I'm
Mhm.
still working and I'm still trying to get better every single day, but
Yeah.
um, it's just it's yeah.
No, I hear you. And I think all you have to do is keep going because again, you have proof of concept. You've already
Mhm.
done it. You've already like hit marks that people would consider success in a music career, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about Fine Apple, but I also want to talk about the fact that you shared with me that you were looking to move to Utah. Can we talk
Mhm.
about that? So,
Yeah.
why are you moving and how do you think that this is going to shift your career?
Well, the reason that I'm moving is because a lot of my friends went to college, basically all of them,
Mm,
and my girlfriend also went to college. She goes to college in Utah,
mm,
and I just don't really have too much left here. I wanna get to a place where I can start building something new, um, whether it's like music is gonna be an entirely different shift how I operate because I'm gonna be a lot more busy when I'm out there because it's not cheap to live, somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think it's just gonna help me getting into a new area, new scenery, new opportunities, and it's so much closer to the West Coast, like California, and all of those states.
Mhm,
And overall, I feel like I've needed a change in scenery for so long.
mhm.
So that's really the main reason why I'm doing it. And I just also want to be bold and take these sort of opportunities and risks when I'm young and I have the opportunity to do so. Because right now, I'm not held down to my current city by any means. I just have every single like reason I feel like to go out and do something different right now.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing that you have the opportunity and the chance and the time to go explore, and I think that it's really interesting that you kind of get to, like, have or hopefully have this college experience without
Yeah.
actually needing to be there just because, your friends and your girl, so that's gonna be really awesome for you. I'm looking forward to hearing what comes out of the
Mhm.
transition because 'cause I'm sure you'll be inspired in other ways that
Yeah.
you haven't been, so congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
So now let's talk about your placements. Let's talk about Pineapple with Nick D, and I think there's a couple others that I'm interested in talking to you about as well.
Okay.
But we'll start with Nick D. How did that song come to be? And maybe you can share some of the major successes that have come from that song, like where it wound up being placed. I know you shared some on YouTube, but
Mhm.
hear it right from your mouth.
Yeah, so Pineapple came, just like almost all the other songs that I get placed, it just comes from my weekly melodies that I make each week. I made the guitar with my friend Miles, and then it got put in the pack, and then 100 Gram Beats was a member of the weekly list, and he put drums on it. He already had a relationship with Nick. He sent it to Nick, and Nick did his thing. The song was released in like January, and it started becoming really popular in May because it's more of a summertime song, not a winter song. So I feel like that had a large part of the reason why it became popular a little bit later. But that's really the simplified version of how the song came to be.
Awesome. And then where did it end up placing or charting and things like that?
It on the media-based top 40, I know it made it into the top 40. I think it peaked high 30s or something. I
Nice.
didn't I wasn't too up to date with it. I just thought it was really cool
Yeah.
just to see it there.
And it's got like millions of streams at this point. Let me double check
Yeah.
the exact number on Spotify. I was looking at it earlier. 23 million streams, and it's approaching a smooth 24 million on
Mhm.
Spotify alone. So I can
Yes.
only imagine, what has happened to it over on Apple Music or where it's been playlisted, things like that.
Mhm.
How has this shifted your career, if at all?
It is definitely the reason why I'm here on the deal right now. I I was discovered through Pineapple, and it allowed me to sign this admin deal and then also help me collect my money from Pineapple,
Mhm.
which has been super helpful, because it's so hard for a person of my size to have much of a voice in the music industry. So a lot of times it's really hard for me to get my money and all the people that are in my shoes. So
Yeah.
having a bigger presence like BeatStars and Sony there to speak on my behalf is extremely helpful.
Yes. Well, shout out to Team BeatStars. I think we're lucky to be able to collaborate with people like yourself in this space where it's like every single person that's a part of BeatStars Publishing is super talented. And I think it's always been our mission to just support people like you. So I think that not I think that I'm happy that you're that you're satisfied with what is essentially our mandate. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Another set of credits I'd like to talk to you about are the tracks you got with Tommy Ice. So you and me
mhm.
and you said. Now Tommy Ice has also millions of streams across most of his music. So how did that come to be? How did that experience happen?
I think so. Tommy, you and me came from a loop that I made in, I want to say November of 2020. And then the same sort of situation. It was just on a weekly's pack. I sent it out to everyone on my list. Ross Gossage, who is a prolific type beat producer, posted a beat with that loop. Tommy just found the beat straight off of YouTube. And then through there, we built a little bit more of a relationship after the song was released. We talked on Instagram, and I just got to know him a little bit better. And then from there, I've been sending him melodies on the same list that I always talk about. Um, and I recently had another one come out with him as well.
Amazing. And I think it's so interesting. Like, it brings us back to the earlier conversation where you were saying like you get this opportunity to collaborate with all these other producers, but I'm so hooked on and fascinated on this like cross collaboration
Mhm.
opportunity for yourself where it's like you're putting yourself out to other producers in hopes
Yeah.
of them latching onto the music, but then the producers latch onto that and they have all of these artists that are attached to them, and I'm mind blown by it. Honestly, it's a really
It's
exciting.
it's a really cool chain of things that happen. It gets kinda, like, exponential the more you get out there because you give yourself to so many producers,
Yeah.
that post so many beats with your loops, and it really just it expands you so much, at least for me, that's what it's done.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting for you is that maybe not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, you were really building the most memorable pieces of a song.
Mhm.
Um, so obviously, people are always going to want the sauce or the source, right? So you're in a great position that way. A6 Giddy is asking, how much do you charge for a loop, and how do you decide the pricing?
Um, so for loops, I don't really sell loops individually too often. Occasionally, people will come to me and ask for exclusive loops, and then I'll be fair. I'll say the price that I think is fair, and I'm also flexible. I'd like to know more about the person, obviously,
Mhm.
and their situation and stuff, because at the end of the day, I just want to make cool music. But generally, to be added to my list right now, it is about $10 to be permanently added, so it's pretty affordable. You get about upwards of 10 to 20 melodies a week. But the prices are soon to go up just because I feel like it's important for me to understand kind of my worth. And
Price is
it's
going up,
just,
baby.
yeah.
Price is going up. No, absolutely. I understand. Sorry to cut you off. I just got excited though, because
Yeah.
that's another thing. Knowing your worth is so
Mhm.
important. But continue.
It's not something like I'm really not too big of like a money oriented guy. I like to feel fulfilled and I like to just make cool music at the end of the day
Mhm.
because this is like what I want to be my full-time career, but it's also just like a hobby and a passion. And a lot of times it's so hard to bring money into a hobby and a passion because it changes just how you create and how you operate. And a lot of times for a lot of people, it can kind of ruin that hobby, which I'm so grateful that it hasn't for me.
Yeah.
But if it were up to me, I would have everything be free, and I would just like to work with as many people as possible. But I gotta charge.
Yeah, no, you gotta charge.
Yeah.
No more free Randy. OT Mill says yesterday's price is not today's price, period. So another really great question in the chat is from Bufo. All the loops that have gotten placements, did they earn you a place on the record as a collaborator, or were they considered samples that needed clearance? Did you have to negotiate percentages, or was the main producer splitting it fairly from day one?
Um, Normally, I've been pretty fortunate with the splits that I've gotten with producers. I feel like a lot of the producers that get me these big placements, we have really good relationships and we're fair and we give each other equal splits for the beat at least. For artists, I feel like artists don't necessarily sometimes always give the most nice splits off of the bat, but I've got stuff cleared up and figured out. But let me read the question a little bit more here.
Were you credited as a collaborator?
That's something that a lot of time I will try my best to get myself credit if I feel like it's worth it. But like smaller songs, I don't really spend too much time because that's a lot of I have a lot of songs come out and it's a lot of effort and a lot of work to try to get myself credit on all of them. And I feel like every producer has that struggle because there's only one of us and there are countless more songs being made every single day with our work. So I have to kind of be selective about what I focus my time into there.
Mhm. Fair enough. I hope that answers your question, Bufo. I think that was a great question. Um, okay, I'm going to take one more from the audience before we move on. What is your best strategy to connect with more artists? Do you use Instagram, Twitter, your BeatStars
Um,
account, guys? You should be using your BeatStars accounts, but
BeatStars obviously is super, super helpful because it's where most of my I would say most of my or all of my sales come from
Mhm.
artists and whatnot buying them. But I don't use Twitter at all. Instagram, I have my Instagram account. I just focus on creating posts that I like making.
Mhm.
I follow the people that I like to follow, and I talk to the people that I like to talk to. And I feel like from that and just letting my work speak for itself, and then YouTube, obviously. And then another thing that helps a lot is a lot of times artists will like see that, hey, I worked on the beat as well when they're recording on it or whatever, and they'll just message me. And I feel like at the end of the day, most of my traction comes from this giant list that I've created.
I want to talk more about this list.
Mhm.
So, can you walk through how people get on this list and how they get the melodies and why you thought that this was the most sensible way to reach everybody?
So I feel like it's really important for producers to be consistently sending stuff out. There was a time around this time last year before the list was even created where I would find myself making all of these melodies and stuff, and then a lot of times they would just sit there. So ever since I created a just a list where I hold myself to sending stuff out every single Monday, it just gives me that consistent stream of people seeing my stuff constantly, because I feel like that's just consistency in general is the
Mhm.
most important thing that you can do, and it's honestly like one of the only things that I would or one of the main things that I would that I would preach to every single producer out there is just stay consistent as possible. And that's something that I struggle with too. But I
Mhm.
feel like just having that one thing that I always sort of stick to, which is the weekly sending them out every single week, has just done so much for me.
Awesome. I think it's a good tactic. I know another thing that we're really gigantic fans of over here is newsletters and finding ways to like flow. I guess your list is kind of in some ways a newsletter when you send
Yeah.
everything out. So good for you. As far as BeatStars, like beyond your list, what is maybe one feature that, or one thing about BeatStars that you think has really helped your career?
The collaborator feature. That's just
Yeah,
like such the main one. It helps so much.
yeah.
I also feel like tagging and just like I love how you can add just like your own like pictures and stuff and the titling. That's something that I've always took a lot of time into because I'm big in the Photoshop and creating art in there as well. So that's just something that I really liked about it.
How did you decide that you were going to learn all of these mediums? You know, you're creating music, you're into to design, you
Mhm.
are into creating videos, you can edit, and you're doing all of these things before you even graduate. Like at what point did you learn all of these things or decide that these were all encompassing to what you do?
I just at the end of the day I just love creating, and I've always been creating like my entire life. It like even or just like making up like stories and stuff. Like I would go outside and I would just play like catch with a baseball or football by myself, and I'd like turn on like an announcer voice. I don't think I've ever told anyone this,
Oh my gosh.
and I'd kind of just like create like cool and fun scenarios. I feel like a lot of kids do that. And I've always just had like such an imagination. I always loved Legos and just really just creating anything. It's just a big passion of mine. So I started like obviously in like sixth grade editing YouTube videos. There wasn't too much editing there, but just creating the YouTube videos. Once I got a computer, I really was able to learn how to edit. And Photoshop, I've always drawn. Now I don't really draw too much, but like when I was younger, I would draw just cool random designs and all of that. Just I've tried to get into like everything that I like. I don't try to like I know I'm not going to be necessarily the best at it right away,
Yeah.
but I just do it because I don't know. I like to experience new things.
Bufo said, I played with dirt as a kid in Guatemala and marbles, which I think is actually like, I think you're normalizing how much like talent you have when it's, yeah, Bufo said it. You're way ahead of the game. I think you're normalizing this thing that makes you very great. And I feel like maybe it won't be until later when you actually realize, holy crap, like I actually did all of these things and now I'm able to do all of these other things because of it. There's not a lot of people like you, Gavin. So
Thank you.
I think you should just lean into anything that interests you because obviously you are very talented and are able to do it all. Um,
Exactly. And that goes for everyone too. Don't hold yourself back and like get risky and just really do what you want to do. That's one of my biggest things that I would say.
See, I didn't even have to ask you what piece of advice you would give. You just gave it off the strength. So that's freaking awesome. I think this has been one of the most easily free flowing conversations I've had on this show up until this period. And I think you're just so like, you're very much yourself and very much aware of yourself and what you want, what you don't want. And like, if I were that way at 19, I would probably be like a billionaire by now. So just keeping you, honestly, man, so great. I want to
Thank
play
you.
some of your tracks that you submitted to us. So Gavin, if you don't know, in the chat, I think we may have discussed this last time.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you guys in the chat, I want you to be doing the best you can to, hold on, what is going on over here with this screen? What's going on? Where'd Gavin go? Okay, there we go. I don't know why this is the way it is. I think sometimes my laptop, I have to like resize all the screens so I can fit everything in perfectly. How are we looking over here? Not quite, huh? Marcus, help. Oh, there we go. Okay, so y'all in the chat, make sure that you're rating the beats out of whatever 5 emojis you think best suits what you're listening to. Let us know who you would hear on the loop or the beat. Gavin, feel free to use your announcer voice to to announce whichever tracks you want to play.
Okay.
We've got about 20 minutes, so let's get through as many as we can that you would want to hear.
Yeah, so before we play it, a lot of these you will see are the people that did the drums. I just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to all of the producers that use my loops. So yeah, I just created a little list of some of the ones that I was going through and I liked them. So I think the first one we can play is Bad Attitude, the one at the very bottom.
Okay. Also, just want to read this comment off. I don't know if you caught it on the screen. Adopted Son Audio said, just listen to some of your loops on BeatStars. Fire. Thanks for the gems today, Gavin and BeatStars. So
appreciate you. Thank you.
So sweet. Thank you, Adopted Son Audio, for coming to the show today. Okay, so Bad Attitude is the first one. Let's go.
Whoa, keep it up, Gavin.
Cloud. Are you serious?
Okay, obviously I want to play everything, but I can't play it all. So yeah. Cloud9 says it's an everything is going to be all right type beat. Bufo gave you 4 Tim Boot emojis. And Tiger Backwoods says, I love Gavin's tag. I do too.
That was my little sister that did it.
Really? Oh, come on. That's so sweet. My heart, I can't take it. So that was with Cloud. How did you guys link up? Or this is just a product of finding you on BeatStars?
This is just another person that I started talking to on Instagram and added to the list. And yeah, I mean, I like his drums and I like the product that it creates.
Awesome. All right. So what's your next pick?
Next one is Courtesy.
Which number is that?
It's the number 3.
3. All right. Let's go. did this come to be?
So Gene Parker is actually someone that I've worked with for a while. I've worked on loops with him, and just probably for over a year now. And I really like him and his channel too. Be sure to check out his channel on YouTube, Gene Parker. Posts type beats on there, and he uses a lot of my loops, and he does really cool drums.
Cross promotion. We love
Of
to
course.
see it. We got 5 Tim Boots from A6 Giddies. Tiger Backwoods gave you some flame emojis. Rock 5 said love the vibe on this. Tiger Backwoods said we could hear Kid Leroy on it. So that would be sick.
Whoa, very.
All right, what's your next pick?
Madison. It's number 5.
Whoa, keep it up, Gavin.
Hey, Ross, sauce it up.
Goes by so fast when you're listening to these because I'm just like swaying. I'm so chill with it. Bufo says when he's making these loops, does he follow certain patterns? For example, they're all 8 or 16 bars, or by time length, or based on a feel of each individual loop. They're all fire.
So normally when I'm making the loops, I follow either an 8 or a 16 bar pattern with like the bass chord progression, sometimes 4 bars too, depending on what I'm feeling. But from there, I'll have a bunch of different versions of the structure. So I'll have so many different layers that in 8 or 16 bars, maybe I like for the first 8 bars, I obviously don't want everything playing. So I just slowly introduce stuff when I'm structuring them out and give people just a bunch of different options in terms of like the structure that they're going to use when they are using their arranging the loop.
There you have it. At BeatStars, who is this guy? This is Gavin Hadley, the Gavin Hadley, and he is signed to our BeatStars Publishing roster. He is a great loop maker, melody maker, so I hope you get familiar and watch this interview back so you can hear the rest of what you missed before you came in here. What is your next pick?
Let's do Spiral, number 4.
Whoa, keep it up, Gavin.
Hey, Ross, sauce it up.
I'm laughing because Cloud9 said trapping on the beach type beat. Like, why? How did this beat come to be?
So this was a collaboration loop that I did with another producer named Dax9K. So we both did the loop together. And then Ross has been on the list forever. I have such a good relationship with Ross. Ross is that guy. Ross Gossage on YouTube, another little promotion. He makes seriously really cool beats. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Rock 5 said he loves the bounce on that. I do as well. It
Thanks.
seems to pop in my head. All right. We have time for like we have time for like 2 or 3 more realistically. What
Okay.
do you wanna
Let's do Not Interested, which is the 6th one.
Whoa, keep it up, Gavin.
Hey, Ross, sauce it up.
Okay, I had to let that one run a little bit longer.
The switch up is so cool. That's why I added it. I love that switch up.
Yeah, that is so dope. We got 3 Tim Boots from A6 Giddy, Hawaiian Vibes from Grandtastic Beats. Luvo says this needs to be on the next Kids Bop album. Also gave you 5 flame emojis. Frizzy Astro says, geez, Louise. And Cloud Knight says it's a bonfire at midnight type beat. Also, Jay Perry, I see you're asking why BeatStars is not working. We did send out a newsletter to let you guys know there's a ton of new updates coming to the platform. So we're going to be down between today and tomorrow, on and off. So just in case anyone else in the chat is wondering, that is why. Check your email. All right. Next, what do you want?
Track number 1.
Whoa, keep it up, Gavin.
So was that all you?
Yeah, that was all me.
All right. So how come you made this beat?
This was one I felt like making a beat really, and I liked the end product, and I threw it up on BeatStars, and I've made that loop last month-ish, I believe.
Fire. Okay, let's do one more before we sign off today, unless there's like any 2 that are super pressing for you. But we can definitely fit.
There's someone that did a cool. Let me see. This is like a really different style, hyperpop. I think it is number
8?
Number 7.
Okay, let's give it a go. Who did you work with on this?
This is Dercept. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name.
Mm-hmm. How did you guys connect? Your list?
Yep, just list. Same thing for all of these people for the most part. Yeah.
You need to get merch that just says like the
The
list.
list. Yes.
That was emotional.
Nice and slow build up. Yeah, I love tracks like those.
Cloud9 says this is perfect for our television/sync and other corporate stuff, which I would agree. That's got a good like little commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see a corporate commercial. Agreed. Yeah, everyone's agreeing in the chat. You gotta pitch that.
I would love to get into the commercial game.
Yeah, you gotta talk to Cloud9 about that. He knows all about that stuff. Okay, let's do one more. Let's close.
Track number 2.
2. All right, and this is another self-produced.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I have to stop it. Buko says that he can hear the pop influence that you spoke about in your sound. All of these tracks could easily not be trapped and turned into a pop song. You're definitely on the right track.
Exactly.
Says dope beats. Yeah, exactly.
That's all. That's what I'm going for. Thank you.
His advice was also just surround yourself with some new folks, and you'll be in that new lane in no time. Cloud9 says this is a good space for lyrics in all of these beats, Gavin, and use of bounce.
Thank you.
Amazing. So I think that's pretty much it for today. But if you would like to, feel free to shout out where we can find you, how to connect with you. Are you open to collabs? All of those.
Yeah. So my Instagram is Gavin Hadley _, YouTube channel, Gavin Hadley. Those are really the two that I'm using right now. I might get into TikTok at some point, but yeah, if you would like to work with me, feel free to send me a message and I'll see what I can do. I love to work with people. So yeah.
Amazing. You gotta pay that $10 and get on the list so that you could.
That is a surefire way to work with me.
Yes. The list.
The list.
The list. All right. Shout out to everybody that came to hang out in the chat today. Thank you for your feedback and your questions. Make sure to follow Gavin on BeatStars. His link is right in the bottom right there, gavinhadley.beatstars.com, Instagram gavinhadley_. Do not forget that we have a special placement opportunity with 98 Chamberlain. He's looking for soul beats, Manny Fresh type beats, New York drill beats in any key or BPM, and that submission ends on October 27th. Another thing that I'm going to flag for your attention is the Guap Dad Little Scammer That Could featuring Denzel Curry. That is a remix challenge we have happening right now. Super special. I hope you guys have already worked on and submitted your remixes, but we will see y'all. Well, we're doing shows every day, so see you guys tomorrow, but I'll see you guys on Friday for On the List. So if you want us to hear some of your beats, make sure you come, you show up, make sure you pin your beat to the top of the page so that, we can hopefully pick you. And that's it. Thank you, Gavin. I'm wishing you the best of luck. Have a safe move.
Thank you.
Congratulations on everything, and we're really looking forward to seeing what you come up with next. So
thank you so much, and thank you guys.
All right, y'all. Be safe. Wash your hands, social distance, all that stuff. See you guys later.